Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about what do I think of Donald Trump. Given the subject, I'm doing this one in English, obviously. So, what do I think of Donald Trump? I could simplify it and say I see a man who has lied his whole life, who is a racist, who has no empathy, has a little self esteem, who needs attention desperately, who never had to hard work and never had to face any consequences for what he did. So, looking at the situation that just recently happened, the storm of the Capitol, I see that a lot of people are surprised. Not everybody, but some are. And I don't really understand why they are surprised. Because if you look about this man, if you look what he has done in his past before he was president, he was a cheater, a liar, had a lot of allegations for sexual assault, and so on and so on. So when he wanted to become president, one of his first lines was that he called all Mexican immigrants, rapists and thugs. He even wanted Mexico to pay for a wall, which in itself sounds really stupid, but that was his punchline. So he became president, and even if you look to his whole career, which he had since he is president, you see a lot of bad things, like for example, his immigration law, his foreign policies, his impeachment, which was basically a joke, to be honest, his response to COVID, his response to Black Lives Matter protests, his false statements he's been giving. Even if you just look to his Twitter account, you will see that in one he says something and in the other one he denies it. He failed in condemning neo Nazis in Charlottesville. He failed in condemning the Proud Boys. His statements claiming that whatever he says is true, and if somebody says something else, it's basically fake news. His whole relationship with the press, whenever somebody said something he didn't like, he couldn't just call it fake news. He just left the room. Or his promoting some conspiracy theories. All these things. If you see all these things, then I don't understand what is so surprising about how he just incited violence now. Remember that time when the Black Lives Matter protest happened? How he wanted to do this photo op and he cruelly made his way through the peaceful protesters. When I saw that scene, I thought, like, this looks like a third world country with a dictatorship. But this was America, a so called democracy. And let's also not forget that he called Black Lives Matter protesters, peaceful protesters, rioters, and rioters he incited for violence at the Capitol. He said that he loves them. And these people were told by the President of the United States to storm the Capitol and overthrow the election. And everybody is surprised. I'm not, because this is what happens if you put a narcissist into office, into such a high power office where he has all these opportunities. The only thing he has done is just enriching himself. He has basically, the one thing he did was cutting taxes for the richest. How good that he never really gave up his businesses. He said he gives them to his sons, which, to be honest, even those have never worked hard in their life, but it doesn't look like he really left his businesses. He still owns them. There were reports about how the national security, not the national security, how the guards who have to guard him, they had to pay all the hotel rooms, which were really expensive, which at the end of the day taxpayers have to pay. And I don't know. This is not surprising for me if you see that kind of person in office doing this. But I'm not only blaming him for everything he did, because I think we should also blame those people who basically made it possible for him to get into this position and who made it possible that in this position he could do all these things. All those who covered his tracks, defended his lies, and even in the impeachment trial, they made sure that nothing happens to him. So we should also blame those people, because the truth is, none of these people, nor Donald Trump, will ever face any consequences for what they did. But the problem is, these people, they made sure that this generation's more than 70 million people do believe all these lies. Even if you go to them and tell them, look, there's like a fact I can show you, this is the truth, what he is saying is a lie, they will always call it fake news. He make this conspiracy theories so popular that they became a reality for more than 70 million people. He is responsible for the death of over 300,000 people. He should also be accounted for that. So, on the one point, like I said, I'm not understanding why everybody is so surprised. And the other thing is, now they are trying to impeach him again, make sure that he leaves the office before 20th of January. But why not before? I know there were efforts to do that, but I think people should not be so surprised, because all this he did from the first day he wanted to become president, and even before that, it was clear what kind of person he is and what he will do, what he could incite, what he actually wanted to do, that he only cares about himself. And still, some are surprised. And why are there no consequences for this? I mean, just because he has the highest office, in my eyes, the highest office is basically to serve the public. But in his case, he was just sitting there like a king without having any consequences. I hope that he and all those who helped him, all his aides, all his little minions, all of them have to face consequences, legal consequences for what they did. And the most troubling part is that that is something I, as a German person, can say, because we have a dark history. And even though the history is over, we try to educate ourselves and all these things. Some of these ideas still exist. Some of these wrong ideas still exist. And even if you see what he has done with the 70 million people, these ideas are in their head. That means they're going to stay for generations. And I hope America and the American people overcome this and are capable of educating themselves to make sure that these ideas are wrong and they do not stay for long. Because I know, as a German person, this is really, really hard. Thank you for listening. Until next time.